I don't think he's being realistic, but around 30 years, this is not someone who's going to go quietly into the night or leave the country like Ben Ali did until the very last moment. So, you know, and again, that's not going to be enough as far as we can tell from...
Did you, I don't know if you were listening to our correspondent in Suez, saying that he'd spoken to a high-ranking army official trying to glean the army, which is interesting because there's a lot of speculation over whether the army is prepared to take on crowds of demonstrators.
This is the key question. What's the role of the military as the savior of the Egyptian people? This is not Tunisia. The Tunisian military was largely independent. It didn't have a close relationship with Ben Ali. It also received much less in U.S. military aid. Egypt, in fact, gets almost 260 times more U.S. military aid per year, $1.3 billion. And the military benefits from the status quo in terms of economic privileges and being well provided for by the Mubarak regime. So yes, it's possible that they could shift loyalties, but up until now there's nothing to really suggest that the military is going to leave the regime and defend the people. That said, if they feel the protesters are winning and that they have the momentum, no one wants to be fighting a losing battle. So I think the military has a choice. Do they want to be remembered as a military that defended a failing regime in its final days, or do they want to be remembered as a military that helped Egypt move to the next step and become a real democracy?
And are these protests across the board? I mean, we've talked about angry youth, we've talked about ordinary people suffering unemployment, high food prices. What about the Egyptian upper class and the intellectuals?
Yeah, the Egyptian regime does have a broader base of support. There are people who benefit from the Mubarak regime's policies. Egypt actually has experienced impressive annual GDP growth, about 5 to 7% the last few years. The problem there is that those economic gains aren't distributed throughout the population. So the rich are getting richer and the poor are getting poorer. So, but there will be people in Egypt who want to defend this order. They don't want to see a major change because then their privileges come under attack.
Okay, thank you very much indeed for that. Do stay with us. Shadi Hamid from Brookings Centre. On the line now from Cairo, we've got a member of the ruling party, the NDP, Maged Rida Boutros. Good to have you with us. Now, first of all, just tell us, the cabinet is in the process of resigning right now. A lot of people, a lot of protesters in Egypt saying that's not enough.
Well, we have to admit that the pace of reforms in Egypt, the political reforms and the economic reforms, are not as the expectation of most Egyptians. The political regime has admitted that the pace isn't as expected. So that's why the head of the political system asked the government, the cabinet, to resign. It shows something. It shows a response to the demands of the people.
But not the response that they wanted, because the actual demand is for Hosni Mubarak to go.
No, listen, what happened when the mobs went to the streets? When there is a vacuum of security, you see what's happening now. Would you like to see more of that? No, the government should not leave the chaos. The government has to stabilize the situation. They are not running like rats, like what happened in Tunisia. We are an institutional state. There are institutions, there is an elected government, there is an elected president, so he's not running away like a rat, like what happens in...
Okay, can I just interrupt? When you talk about an elected president, the cold facts are, when you talk about an elected president, what you have in Egypt is a regime which for 30 years has protected itself by invoking emergency laws. There are the people of Egypt who feel they have no political freedom, they feel that they have no right to, and it has never happened. So do you not understand why the people of Egypt, these protesters, are extremely angry and want President Mubarak to go?
Now, I have to illustrate a number of facts.
No, I'm
Fact
asking you
one,
if you
we
understand what the grievances of your people are.
Satisfied. Excuse me. We are not satisfied with the performance of the political system. We recognize this. We admit this. That's number one. There is no possible allegations that there are no freedoms in Egypt. There are freedom of press, there is freedom of expression. Now what we are witnessing, freedom of expression, but what happened? The mobs, the lower part of any society, the bottom part of the society went looting, went burning, these sort of things. Do you call this political expression? This is looting.
Can I ask you about, you talk about looting and you talk about reactions. We have had reports and witnesses have seen bodies riddled with bullets. At least 50 bodies, and the death toll in these protests could rise. What do you say about that reaction from your security forces to these protests?
No human being would like to see violence. No human being would agree the violent protests. If you can count, nearly half of those bodies are from security officers and security staff. So now when somebody is shooting, is burning, when somebody is killing and using weapons, is burning, looting, would you expect the police to stand still?
Can I just clarify? You're saying that 50% of the deaths are of security forces. Is that what you're saying?
Say if you go to Alexandria, the morgue, you will find that half of the bodies are from security. It means that they were trying to defend themselves from those criminals. Do you know that when they burned down the many police stations, tens of police stations, that they freed criminals, and those who are doing all the... So you don't call them from the ordinary protesters.
I just want to put to you that what the witnesses that the pictures of the protests that have been going on are showing ordinary people from all walks of life. They're not Muslim Brotherhood, they're not criminals, they're not opposition leaders. These are ordinary people who want a way out of poverty, a way out of unemployment, and a regime change. Are you saying that they're all criminals?
I did never say that. The majority of them, they had noble purpose to express themselves. The majority, when they started that. But when the mobs came from the lower part of the society and they went burning, looting, shooting officers, grabbing the weapons from officers and shooting at them, burning. Now it turns out from a noble cause to a criminal cause. Now, have you seen all the supermarkets, all the malls, all the police stations, all the large department stores are on fire and looted?
Yeah, we've certainly seen pictures of buildings on fire. Yes.
Ordinary protesters? Is it legitimate?
And can I ask
convince me that it's legitimate?
We've got pictures of protesters gathering now in various cities, in Cairo, in Alexandria. Can I ask what the response of the army or the security forces is going to be if there are more protests today?
Well, I hope that the army troops would be able to hold those protests and get down the criminals. Do you know that all the criminal records were burned down from police stations and police departments? Now we have hundreds of criminals, convicted criminals are run loose. They are doing all types of crimes in Cairo. So we need the rule of law protests into mobs.
Let me ask, President Mubarak has said that he is open to dialogue to try and solve this situation. Dialogue with who, though?
Well, I have stated all what I wanted to express. I mean, that's all what I have to say.
But how do we resolve this? You're a member of the ruling party. How does this get resolved politically?
Now, we have changed the government. The party sets policies. The government implements those policies. We believe that the implementation, the dynamics have problems. There are poverty and there are several unpleasant or unexpected results. So we are trying to erect the situation.